Good evening, everybody. I'm Ben, and as a young manager, I spent my formative years in a UK industry that was killing around 12 people every year. And I'm pleased to say that the fatalities in the industry are now, by comparison, a very, very rare event. This is good news, of course, and it can teach us much about behaviour change. But there is currently a more widespread and bigger health risk to our employees, that of poor mental health and burnout. Now, I believe that work should be something that overall has a positive impact on our emotional, mental and physical health. I also believe that OD has a role in it. Let's have a show of hands. Who's with me in that? Excellent. So my key point this evening, it's an invitation to change a fundamental assumption. The prevalent assumption that I notice is that change is predictable. We produce a Gantt chart, we work the plan, and all will be well. When we shift our assumption to our organisations are complex, everything changes. Our approach, our interactions with stakeholders, and we enjoy very different levels of success and change. Referring back to the quarrying example, the old world clung on to the hope that because you put up lots of signs reminding people what the rules were, people would stick by the rules. Well, funny old thing, it didn't work very well. The underlying assumption here is that the organisation and the people within it are merely complicated. Change is logical and predictable. But guess what? It didn't work. And people and therefore change are unpredictable. So, we need to embrace the inherent complexity of our organisations. We need to design our OD efforts in a way that fully accepts that the responses we get will be variable, unpredictable, and sometimes even undesirable. These complex problems are best addressed by multiple partial solutions with lots of test and learn cycles. The best way to understand a complex problem is to make a small change and observe how it responds. But all too often, we see OD strategies delivered in the form of projects and programs. This is a pretty poor fit for complex problems. It also results in us adding to the load of the very people we're trying to help. I refer to that as a bolt-on approach. Have you ever stopped to think what that mass of intervention and change must look like through the eyes of a frontline manager? We might actually be adding to their sense of overwhelm. In organisations, context is everything. Adaptation will serve you far better than striving for organisational-wide consistency. Meet people where they are, attune yourself to their context and their subculture within the organisation. One of the partial solutions within the quarrying example was a move from ultra-specific rules to principles and guidance. This is what I call a built-in approach. Work with the people to change the system that's driving their behaviour and also their performance. Key with working in complexity is the acceptance that the presenting problem is not the one we need to address. We need to get closer to causes. These will always be multiple. They're likely to be messy and often reside under the surface. Rather than grand launches, embrace prototyping, continuous improvement and iteration. Go to where the work happens. Sit in the mud with the manager. Test your early ideas in reality. Get involvement and feedback. 2 decades ago, an OD colleague said to me, "Ben, we don't get behaviour change to happen by sitting at our desk. So make sure you're working on the territory and not the map." The idea being, when we give away authority, we gain insight and garner self-accountability. Get the folks who will be impacted by the change. I think this is buffering. Get the folks who will be impacted in the change involved right from diagnosis. I don't even think you can do the diagnosis without them. Be user-led. People will defend what they create. The fundamental trap here is that we, the OD team, become more interested in activity rather than impact. We judge ourselves on the completion of projects and not improving performance and making a difference in people's lives. When we do that, we become a little too self-interested. We get seen as the folk who do too and not work with our people. In short, we become a bit of a self-licking lollipop. So, Embrace the inherent complexity of your organisation. Do not let your OD efforts become a self-licking lollipop. Instead, disrupt OD and be the lollipop that everybody gets to enjoy.